PS5 tutorial. Looks like we're doing daily videos in February because at the moment. There's just so much happening in the PS5
it's honestly
scene right
quite
now. Difficult to keep up with it all at this point. We have two new plugins that have been released for etaHEN. We've got AirPSX as an etaHEN and we also have a plugin to patch out the universal data registration messages that pop up when you run PS5, game backups when running that plugin. And also AirPSX as a plugin is huge because that is the remote management software I covered in a previous video, which allows you to access the file manager and also remotely launch applications, back up your save files, run scripts, and many other things on your console from a remote desktop running on a web browser on another device. It's going to be the go-to way to interact with -1 in the future over the network. And the good thing about it now being a plugin for etaHEN is that it can run in the background, which means it does not disconnect anymore. When you switch between different applications, which now means we can properly use the application launching feature of AirPods X, so that we can switch between different apps. I can go straight from one game into another by remotely launching it from my computer, which is an awesome feature that's now properly up thanks to the plugin version of AirPods X. So, what I'm gonna do is show you guys how to get both set up and installed here in this video. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at how to get these. So first we switch over to our PS5 and run the jailbreak, and then load the etaHEN payload. Make sure, of course, you note down your IP address in the host because we're gonna be connecting with FTP. So once you have etaHEN successfully loaded, we can switch over to our computer. And on the computer, we're gonna download the AirPods X.plugin file here. And also, I'll download the latest build of the test plugin, which will disable the error messages, the universal data registration error messages. So I'll download the latest binary files. There appears that you do need a GitHub account to download these binaries. So I will leave a separate download link in the description. Probably a Mediafire link that you can use to download it. If you don't have a GitHub account, so that we are all set. So from here, we can just extract those over to our desktop, and then we can open up an FTP client like Filzilla or WinScore. No FTP from within Windows, whatever you want to use. And then we're just gonna enter the PS5's IP address in the host box. And the port number is gonna be 337 for etaHEN's FTP. It's 2121 if you're using John Tarbell's FTP. And then from there, we're gonna head, of course, into the data folder. And then the etaHEN folder. And then we should have a plugins folder in here. We're gonna go in there at the moment. I only have the Illusion Cheat which plugin, I think is the default when you first set up etaHEN version 1.9. And this should work on 1.9 and to 0.0. But if you do run into any problems trying to use error messages plugin, then I would say make sure that you're running etaHEN version to 0.0 and the pre-release build, just because it is the most up-to-date version of etaHEN, which could eliminate any problems that might be being caused by an older version, like 1.9b. But generally, it should work on 1.9b and to 0.0. So we'll take your PSX and we'll just drop that into the plugins folder here and get that transferred. And then we'll do the same if we go into the plugin samples and go into our bin folder. We've got the error disabling plugin. You just want the .plugin file and you're gonna copy that in there as well. So with that, we should be good. We can go ahead and switch back over to our console. And we should now be able to enable some of these plugins on our PS5. So let's head over to our settings and we'll head down to our debug settings. And then we've got our plugins. And here they are showing up right here. So we can enable the AirPods X plugin. Now, this does take a little while to load. So just give it a few seconds for it to actually load everything. Okay, and there we go. So that did take a little while. I just skipped some of the time there, but it took a few seconds. And then we should get a notification. Once it's actually loaded successfully, we'll get a notification saying it's running on port 1. There it is. So that is now up and running as well. And then we just want to run our disable error plugin as well. We'll give that one a try. Okay, so that also actually took quite a while. But as you can see, it is now running. And there it is patched out the error messages. You also have the startup option, which allows you to launch the plugin when etaHEN is loaded. So you can enable that if you want. Although I wouldn't really recommend feature on test plugins, because obviously there could be some issues. And if it causes a problem on etaHEN, then that could prevent you from loading etaHEN without removing the plugin. It's really not an option that I would personally enable right now. So we should be all good to go right here. So let's go ahead and and give this a test run. So switching back over to my computer, I can enter the IP address of the PS5 in my web browser. /12 and then that should get us connected over here, so we can accept. And as you can see, we now have access to AirPSX. So all of the stuff is working and it's showing that we're not even running any applications now, but we do have access over here. Now, I'm not gonna go into major detail on all of the features because I already made a video on this before. So I'll just leave a link to that down below if you want to check out all of the different features that this has. But the main one that wasn't working properly through the Homebrew launcher, that should work now through an etaHEN plugin, is the application launcher. So we'll open this up here, and I'll open up a window so that you can see the results here on the PS5 itself. So all we have to do here is select something like and then we can click Run Application from our web browser. As you can see, it launches on the PS5 itself. How cool is that? So that is now up and running, and there we are. Awesome. Let's say I want to launch a game, for instance. Let's launch Stray. I'll click Stray Run Application, and bam. It launches now. It says failed to launch application there. As you can see, that's because we're launching this as a flow game or fake game. And there we go, we're now in the start screen. And this is what I really love about this. I can also use this to go straight into another application or another game while I'm already in a game right here. So now I want to play a Plague's Tale Requiem. I can click Run Application and bam. We go straight from Stray, the main menu of Stray, to loading up a Plague's Tale Requiem here. So check that out, and there it goes. Focus Entertainment, and as you can see, we never got the Universal Data Registration error. And that's a message that you will normally see whenever you launch a game. Backup is that Universal Data Registration error message, which isn't too bad when you first launch the game. But there are some games like a Plague Tale Requiem here, where normally it would start spamming a bunch of these messages all over your screen every so often, which is highly distracting when you're trying to play the game. So this error patching, as you can see here, has patched that out. It would have normally shown up by now. Once it gets into the main menu, you would have some of those messages spammed on the screen. So the plugin is successfully patching those out, so that you can play your game in peace. So honestly, I could just play with this all day. It's ridiculous, like let's launch the Homebrew store. And then we just go straight from our game into the Homebrew store. I just love that this is now It reminds me a lot of, things like neighborhoods like Xbox 60 neighborhoods and similar things for PS3. And stuff where you can remotely launch applications. It's nice that we can actually do stuff like that here on the PS5 now, so yeah, awesome stuff here. Obviously has a file manager and check out my previous video on AirPods to see a lot of the features that are built in here. I just wanted to show you how much better it is with the ability to remotely launch and apps. It doesn't disconnect you when you switch between different applications now. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. Please leave a like and once again, as always, I'll hopefully